All right. Aloha mai kako. Aloha. All right. Okay, gang, we're going to go ahead and get started. If you want to, again, there's tons of seats. Don't feel like you have to stand up in the back unless you want to. We're going to turn it over to one of our public information officers. How about a nice round of applause for Stephanie?
Hello. Hi, I'm Stephanie Nakasone Ramsey, the PIO for the Office of Recovery, Public Information Officer. You may remember me from a few months ago I hosted in place of Mahina. I'm taking over again this week as she is out of the office this week with a well-deserved break. So first we want to get started with Uncle has graciously said he will willing to do the pule today, as always. So actually, you know what? Well, yeah, we'll do that one.
Thank you. Thank you, Lord, for this opportunity. And thank you, Stephanie. Lord, we thank you for this place that you have provided us with and that it is a safe place. Thank you for bringing all of us here tonight safely and healthy. And we ask the Almighty God for thy continuance of blessings to bless the leaders of our community, the Maui County community, that they will lead us in the right path and that you guide them and that they have the knowledge and strength to give us this guidance. Thank you for all the resources that you have provided for us that has come to this point of cleaning up our properties to make ready for our rebuild. And we thank you especially for all the people that had the patience and had to share within this time of need. And we ask especially, O Lord, that you give us guidance throughout these meetings, that we will successfully recover from this problem that we had. We ask that you bless each and every one here tonight, O Lord, that we may have the strength, the courage. Bless us with the knowledge and the wisdom that we may need to talk story and solve problems that we may have. Take care of the ones that are not here tonight, O Lord, that they may be safe and that they may be healthy and that they can come back and return with us in these gatherings. We ask that you bless each and every one as we go forth to our homes, that you go before us, open the roads up, that it be safe and healthy, and that you return us all home safely to our loved ones. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. All right. As always, we remind you 211, call 211 for access to the Disaster Case Management Program, DCMP. There's a new thing at the bottom there for if you're outside of the state. So for those of you, especially online, if you are out of the state, don't call 211. That will take you to that state's designated 211 number. So instead, call 877-275-6569. And as always, we want to remind you to please take care of yourself. There's numbers there for mental health resources and support, including a QR code to MauiRecovers.com, Maui Recovers mental health resources page. A lot of great organizations, agencies listed on that website. So if you want to get that QR code, you take a picture, scan it later on. In case you missed it, the September homeowners webinar was last Thursday. You might remember me, I hosted that one. We had a lot of great presentations. We had, as you can see, a lot of topics were covered. FEMA gave a presentation on their new microbuild project. We also had our planning department give a presentation on the expedited SMA exemption process, and actually we will be going over that again today just because we want to get the word out to as many people as possible about this application. If it applies to you, please take advantage of it. We also had updates to the wastewater system, a few more lots getting their sewer service back. We also had Hawaiian Electric talking about how to restore electricity to properties, kind of a guidance on how to do that, go about doing that. Also SBA, who is also, I believe Nancy is here, yeah, in the back there. She's here tonight to answer any questions you may have, but she presented on loans that are available, not just for homeowners, but also renters, businesses, nonprofits, gave a few deadlines that are to keep in mind. And also we have the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety on tips for building more fire resistant. For those of you who may not know, the IBHS has a lab in South Carolina where they do a lot of experiments. And it was very interesting to see kind of the research that they put into giving tips again on different materials that work better, all those different things that you may want to keep in mind as you rebuild. And mentioning South Carolina, we just want to send our thoughts and prayers to those in the southeast of our country as they go through their own awful disaster. So I know everyone here can empathize with that. And the QR code there is to take you directly to the page that has the video replay as well as the slides presentation. This you may have heard about from last week. The Department of Agriculture, the County Department of Agriculture, has a survey out that they would like everyone's input on food and nutrition security plan. That QR code will take you directly to the survey. Obviously, we all know that food security has been a huge issue before and after the fires. So please submit your input. Basically, it's helping to prioritize what's in the plan. We wanted to quickly go over some water FAQs. We had a few questions last week about water meter reinstallation, and we clarified a few points with Kimo Landgraf, our Deputy Director of the Department of Water Supply. There's a few things, actually, a few tweaks that happened here that make it a little bit easier. So right here, how do I request my water meter be reinstalled? There's an email now. You can actually email as well. It used to be just a phone number. Now you can call or email. The email right there, water.supply@mauicounty.gov. If you do send an email, please include your name, property address, contact phone number. As was before, same answer for the second one. Does it cost anything to replace it? No, it does not. Let's see. This is how long will it take to get the meter replaced? And again, the time varies between 2 to 6 weeks, and you can call for updates. But this is, the important note is that they are prioritizing customers who have an approved building permit, and those who need it for irrigation, watering plans, dust control, may need to wait a little bit longer than that, 6 weeks. But we wanted to emphasize this point that if you are not rebuilding, you can still request a water meter be reinstalled. It's just you may have to wait a little bit longer. And then this is also a little bit changed from what it was before, a little bit easier, because before we had said if you need to reactivate your account, then you have to, after you get your water meter installed, you have to call Department of Water Supply again and do all that jazz. Not anymore. It was clarified that once your water meter is reinstalled, that the Department of Water Supply's fiscal division will be notified and your account will be reactivated. Of course, if there's any issues, you can call that number 270-7834. And these FAQs, as well as a few others, are on mauirecovers.org/water. And this takes us to our agenda tonight, pretty packed agenda. We have a debris clearing update from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. FEMA, following up on a question that we had last week, is here to give an update on progress on the Kilohana Group site. We also have MEMA here to speak on the Phase 4 zone opening. That would be like the Kilauea, Mauka, Lahaina Luna area. So we have Everett from MEMA here to talk about that. We have a very big update from the Recovery Permit Center from Four Leaf. We also have, again, like I mentioned earlier, kind of going over the expedited SMA exemption process again. and from our planning department. And then we also have Samaritan's Purse here to speak on their building program. And then coming up next week, before Mahina left, she said, okay, we nailed down the insurance commissioner to come on the 9th. So that's what's coming up next week. The insurance commissioner has said he will be here for the meeting. And we also just got word that, United policyholders will also be on hand to give a presentation on their programs. And unfortunately, I was told Mayor Bisson could not make it tonight. So we have Managing Director Josiah Nishida here.
Aloha, everyone. Sorry you have the B team here tonight, but I will do my best to stand in. Aloha, everybody. Mayor Bisson expresses apologies for not being able to be here today. He is working with some state leaders and other organizations tonight on some advocacy for funding and other strategies for recovery efforts. But he does send his well wishes and appreciates all of you participating here tonight. Really appreciative of all you being here. Of course, it's a packed agenda, so we'll keep it really short here. The only thing I really wanted to mention up front is I think you guys have a very maybe underutilized hidden secret out here in West Maui. And Morris is here today. Morris doesn't even know I'm going to call him out. But we have our West Maui Recovery Office out here in Lahaina where really we're here to help serve you on your individual needs and questions and whatnot. So while we really appreciate you folks coming out and we'll bring resources and whatnot to address things, we also encourage you to, if you have urgent needs and questions, please don't wait. Like, we have resources here in Lahaina available to help answer your questions. And Morris is one of our representatives out from the county at the center to help you folks direct to where you need to go. Thank you, Morris. He drives out early every single day and comes back very late at night. So appreciate you, Morris, for all your dedication. And I can promise you he is very diligent. Many, many phone calls and text messages back to our offices and other resources to help follow up on your questions. So just encouraging you all, please take advantage of that resource. It's there for a reason. And looking forward to the discussion here later tonight. And I'll introduce Councilmember Tamara Paulton from West Maui next.
Aloha, mai kako. Nice to see everyone. I don't have very much to report this week. Next week is our committee week. You can find all the agendas on mauicounty.us/agendas, and you can watch them on Akaku Channel 53 or Facebook Live. Two meetings in particular that I did want to point out: Wednesday afternoon, 1:30. I'm planning on trying to flesh out information about proposed building projects, rebuilds, government, private, in the community plan proposed after the fire, and try to put it together what the infrastructure, a master infrastructure plan would look like in terms of water, sewer, R1 water. And then the next day, I believe at 9 o'clock in the Water and Infrastructure Committee, we referred a resolution that was on last Friday's council agenda about prioritizing R1 reuse to offset potable water for construction of new housing. Yesterday, there was the Department of Health public hearing on the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit, also known as NPDES permit, which had to do with the injection well case. And I heard a lot of the testimony. This room was about half full, talking about R1 reuse as fire protection around homes, and that's kind of in line with what Hawaii Wildfire Management Organization says about shifting the way that we manage and see our fallow ag lands. So those are two meetings that might be of interest to you. You can testify if you want to come in person or sign up online or just watch and hear what the discussion is about. But that's pretty much the update from the legislative branch of your county. And I see the mayor's advisory team here: Lorile Digama, Kaliko Storer, Kim Baugh, and Uncle Earl. So just you know, catching Josiah's back so they don't tell the mayor. And I think Lieutenant Colonel Jones is next.
And while Lieutenant Colonel makes his way up, how about a nice round of applause for our Senator Angus McKelvey as well, who's also in the back in a purple shirt.
All right, aloha, good evening. I just got a quick update. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to provide an update, really focused on the debris. So for Little C cleared, we're at 104, which is only a bump of 2 from last week, but today, this evening, or early tomorrow morning, we'll finish up on the Wharf Cinema Center, which is actually 7 different properties, which will bump us up to the 70% that I promised last week and under-delivered right now. So we're waiting we'll count that here starting tomorrow. So our big C, as far as completion goes, still at 72. We'll see a little bump on those as well, on those properties, as we've been our contractors have been in placing the erosion control, and we're just working through the administrative processes on a handful of those properties as well. So on this past Sunday, we finished clearing on the Wyola Church, and then moved over to the Hanwanji Mission and started clearing there. We'll be there for the next several days to clear that property. We started to remove trees. I believe we completed the tree removals from the Lahaina Methodist Church, and we removed a handful of vehicles as well. So that's all getting set up all getting set up to eventually come in and do the debris removal here shortly. We'll move into the prison probably tomorrow as well and finish up the debris removal there, and that will complete that historic property as well. And so we did have an increase of 19 vehicles that were removed from the impacted area as well. All right, going on to Kilahana, we're at 93% complete. So we're at 100% for all the utilities. All those utilities, water, sewer, electric, are all underground, so resilient and tied into the existing infrastructure there and ready to go. Once we get FEMA gets the homes on the properties, we'll be able to move those Ohanas in. We heard about the interest in a laundry facility, so USACE is working with FEMA on the design of a laundry facility and then the future implementation and placement of a laundry facility. So more to follow on that from FEMA over the next several weeks. So for the Fleming Road sewer, we're at 75% complete on the main line, so just about over 100 feet left on Fleming Road, and then we're about halfway on Malo, so we're 500 feet of the 1,000 feet installed. And then we've got about half of those private or those individual residential lateral cleanouts that go out to the individual lots. About half of those are done. I think 13 or 14 out of the 29. And then really I did want to leave with one note and clarify a note or a comment I made last week to a gentleman that asked about debris billing. And just to clarify, from USACE, we don't have any involvement in insurance or billing when it comes to debris removal. I do know that the system's designed so you can't double dip. So if insurance paid you out specific to debris removal and FEMA and USACE conducted debris removal, that could be considered double dipping, and that's an individual case-by-case basis you would have to work through with your insurance. That's all I have for my update. Thanks. Now the man we've all been waiting for.
Thanks, Colonel. Aloha, good evening. We got a request last week for updates on Kilohana, so we've committed to this presentation. With that, the Colonel did provide a little bit of update on the infrastructure. He mentioned that the infrastructure of the Kilohana group site is at 93%, so we'll get a little bit more updates on the current progress of the site. But with that, just an overview on FEMA direct housing programs currently happening here in Maui. There are currently nearly 1,300 households participating in our individual assistance FEMA direct housing program, of which 1,200 are currently in our direct lease programs. So on the right hand, sorry, my left, your right hand side, the two forms of direct housing that is currently being implemented for this disaster is direct lease, and many of you, or some of you in here, are in direct lease units, but a great majority are occupying the direct lease units, and upcoming for potentially later this month or maybe next month, we'll be moving into the group site phase. So with that, 42 households have transitioned out of FEMA direct housing onto the permanent housing plan, leaving about 53 households remaining in the program that are currently housed in FEMA direct housing. 36 of whom are in the hotel sheltering program and will be first prioritized in the Kilohana group site. So that's just the numbers of the survivors and their households that we're currently working with right now. So with the Kilohana, this is just a basic site map. It sits right above the burn scar, above Fleming Road, adjacent to the group site implemented by the state. So the state has around 450 units for those that are not FEMA eligible, and our site, we have approximately 165 units for the Kilohana group site. And this is schematics that we borrow from our friends at USIS, but again, the site is just above Fleming Road, and as mentioned previously, 165 units over 20 acres above the burn scar, and FEMA's leasing this land from Hawaii Homelands at no charge. And once the mission has been completed, it'll be returned to Hawaii Homeland. So this is a completely temporary site. It's been graded and blasted. Otherwise, the infrastructure and all the units will be removed once the temporary housing mission is completed. The only thing that will be remaining left is the permanent sewer construction on Fleming Road. And the Colonel had mentioned before, it's in cooperation with the Army Corps. They're building out the infrastructure, the streets, the power, the utilities, and FEMA is procuring the units. So we're calling these units ATTHUs, Alternative Temporary Housing Units. We love our acronyms. So you might hear that acronym in the coming weeks and months, but they're basically prefabricated modular units. Some people have been calling them Ohana units, but they're prefabricated, and there's a slide upcoming. So there's going to be a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units at the Kilohana group site, and dependent on the eligible household that will be licensed into these units, some households may receive more than 1 unit based on their household composition and bedroom requirement. And this is the site plan. The Colonel mentioned a shared laundry facility. There's going to be a pet waste facility, mailbox area, but 165 units around there for the families. We're projecting potentially around 140 households. As previously mentioned, some households will receive more than one unit based on their household composition. And these are some recent pictures of the Fleming Road sewer construction. Again, this is going to be the permanent sewer line that's going to be left over after the group site is transitioned back to Hawaii Homelands. And some construction pictures of the Kilohana site. I know that there's a lot of interest in this site, but friendly reminder that this is an active construction site, so we advise that if you don't have official business there, you shouldn't be wandering around with a construction site, since it is a safety concern. And these pictures were taken last week, So as you can see, the concrete has been poured for the sidewalk and also the light poles. Currently, the Army Corps is paving or just about to pave the asphalt on the roads. So pictures will be updated, but right now the main project will be the paving of the asphalt. And once the streets are paved, our other vendors will be installing the actual units, the ATTHUs themselves, throughout this month and throughout the fall. So what do these ATTHUs look like? These are just the renderings from the 3 vendors that FEMA has contracted with. They're U.S. companies from the mainland, and they're manufactured in the U.S. and will be shipped to Maui to be installed. Again, they're prefabricated units that will be shipped into the harbor and then trucked to the Kilohana site to be installed throughout the fall. 1, 2, 3 bedroom models from these 3 contractors, and they're designed to meet all county and codes and compliance, and they are ADA compliant and UFIS, which is Unified Federal Accessibility Standards. So if you have a household member that needs an accommodation, we're able to put a ramp, grab bars, and any other physical modifications to the units themselves. And who will occupy these units? As mentioned before, the first priority, those that are currently in FEMA direct housing but aren't in direct lease. We have those households, some of which are occupying are currently in the hoteling program. They'll be first slated to be occupying these units as soon as later this month or earlier in the fall. And any remaining units left in the site, we're trying to bring back residents that have been temporarily housed in our direct lease program in Central Maui and Upcountry. So we recognize that the demand for the return to Lahaina is outstripping the supply of available units, but we're working with certain populations to bring back teachers, first responders. There was the presentation from the superintendent with regards to school-age children that are being bused. So we're working with families with school-age children that are enrolled in West Maui to also offer them a unit in the Kilohana group site. And also families with members with access and functional needs will also be offered a unit at the Kilohana group site. However, if a FEMA representative calls you and offers you a unit at the Kilohana site, if you wish to remain in your direct lease unit, a declination will not affect your direct housing status at all. So with that, I know this number has been floated around, but if you have any questions, general questions about rental assistance or financial assistance or CTHA, the 1-800 helpline number is always available. Otherwise, any specific housing questions, we set up a local housing hotline. That number is 808-784-1600 if you have any specific housing questions. Also, we also have staff at 2 centers, the West Maui Recovery Center at the Lahaina Gateway and the CNHA offices in Central Maui if you'd like to see a FEMA representative in person to discuss your individual housing situation. And I'll turn it over to Everett.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'm Everett Balmaris from the Maui Emergency Management Agency, here to just give you information about Phase 4 of the opening zones. Phase 4 is the remaining zones above Mill Camp and going up to Kiloamalka. Hey, you can see it, right on, all right, thank you. And then also on the other side of Lahaina Luna Road, We've got 10 D, E, and F. There is a section on the lower side of Lahaina Luna that will be closed due to the smokestack. The structural evaluations are still being done, and there's a 150-foot fall area that has been implemented for safety reasons. But in the event of any emergency, we can open up the lower road with the help of our security team. There will be a checkpoint at Kahoa Street and Lahaina Luna, and then hard barricades on Lahaina Luna Road, as well as Mill Street. And this will take place tentatively Friday morning, and the Maui Recovers website will be updated as well. Okay. And turn it over to Sheena. Come on down.
Hi everyone, if you don't know me, my name is Shayna Hippolito. Okay, this way. So just some big updates. We have issued 101 permits as of right now, hitting that 5-month mark that we've started. And currently in review, there's about 157 permits, both residential and commercial included into that. And actively being built, there's about 38 lots. So again, that's in conjunction with the County of Maui and 4-Leaf and the Recovery Permit Center. I just wanted to go over the inspections a little bit. Some of you are going to be doing homeowner builder, and you may not know where to request your inspections. This is on your MAPS portal, which is your customer self-service portal. If you were to log on, you'll find it under My Permits. Once it's issued, you can go in there and select the inspection that you need. Always 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. That's the time window for our inspectors to be out there, due to the fact that we also staff the Office of Recovery in Lahaina from 1:30 to 4:30 p.m. That's it for me. So this is our contact information if you need anything. Give it a second. And pass it to Kate.
Thanks, Shana. Thank you so much. Well, welcome to the meeting after dark. Where do you want me to be? Right here? Right there. Is there a mark? No, there's no. Oh, all right. Yell at me, Chivo. So today we're going to talk about the special management area and our new SMXF application, one of the more difficult acronyms to say, SMXF. I'll try not to screw it up. So for those of you who watched the homeowners webinar, Josiah was talking about the B team. You are kind of getting the B team because Colette's pretty amazing. I'm going to do my best to give the same presentation and not screw it up too much. So we'll start real quick with the SMA and what the special management area is. So it's a close to shore area that's subject to some special controls over development, and that's as a result of the Coastal Zone Management Act, which was enacted in the 70s, and it shows up in our HRS or Hawaii Revised Statutes as 205A. This is boring, but I just need you to know that the county administers that SMA. So your first question is going to be, am I located in an SMA? Well, I have a handy QR code here that can help you discover whether or not you're in the SMA. We also have a tiny URL, and I think this is posted to the website afterwards. So you can grab this QR code. But generally speaking, if you are Makai of Honoapi Ilani Highway, you are in the SMA. Also, if you're in the Wahikuli neighborhood, there are some portions of that neighborhood that are in the SMA. So if you're in that neighborhood, do go check this out and make sure. So you find out your parcel is in the SMA. What does that mean for you? So if you're located in the SMA, you're going to be required to apply for an SMA assessment to rebuild. And for single-family homes, and that includes ones that have one ohana unit, you may be able to qualify for an SMA exemption, and I'm going to talk about how. But you have to apply. You can't just say, oh, I'm building a single-family home, so therefore I'm exempt. We actually do have to take a look at it and make sure. So for shoreline owners, though, you have a different process, and I've talked endlessly at these meetings about some of that, so I'll get to that a little bit more later. But we're going to start with the SMA. So we now have launched the SMXF, Expedited Special Management Area Assessment Review. So if you have your debris removal package completed, your building plans, elevations, everything, you can go to Four Leaf and apply now on our website. So Four Leaf will be processing those now. So instead of dealing with a really small planning department who's doing our best, you get the full force of the Four Leaf team now. So on the MAPS main page, all you have to do is click apply and search for SMXF. I'm going to walk you through this in just a second. What will pop up when you search for that is this area in green, SMXF, Expedited Special Management Area Assessment. That's the application you should apply for. So this is what our MAPS website looks like. Right there in the middle is the apply button. When you click that, you're going to get to a place where you can search for SMXF, which of course is off the screen right now. But I have a nice QR code here as well that can get you direct to this spot, and then you can go through the process of applying here. So who is eligible for this process? There's a lot of words on this slide, but I'm going to make it as simple as possible. If you're in the Lahaina disaster affected area and you're proposing to build a single family home with up to 1 Ohana unit, you're outside of the erosion hazard line, which is our new shoreline, and outside of historic districts 1 and 2. But if you're in the National Historic Landmark District, that's okay. And if you do not need a flood development permit. So those are the criteria. I'll talk about it a little bit more, but basically Lahaina, single family and up to 1 Ohana, and if you're outside of these areas, erosion hazard line, County Historic District 1 or 2, and flood. And when you go to apply for it, there's tools within MAPS that will show you whether or not you're in or out of these things. So you'll be able to learn through that process. We also have tools on our website to help. I want to note a couple things. For the exemption process, all structures that you're proposing to build have to collectively be less than 7,500 square feet, collectively. So if you have a garage, an ohana, and a main dwelling, all of them collectively have to be less than 7,500 square feet to qualify for this exemption. If one single home or structure that you're proposing to rebuild is greater than 3,500 square feet and you're in the National Historic Landmark District, you will need to do an environmental assessment. For those of you who've seen me before, we've talked about this a ton of times, but this is a slight shift from what I've said in the past. We've done some additional analysis, and we're determining now that if one single structure is greater than 3,500 square feet, you will need to do an EA instead of all the structures collectively. So if you have questions about that, ask me afterwards, because it only applies to a very small group of people. But also keep in mind, regardless of all things, 7,500 square feet is the maximum for all structures on the parcel that you're proposing to rebuild in order to qualify for this exemption. So if your property does not fit these criteria, you can still apply for an SMX assessment through the planning department, and we will process your permit. You may be qualified for a minor permit, or you may have to go for a major. So just when you're ready to apply, you can apply through the planning department. You won't go through the four-leaf process. So some of you have already applied for an SMX assessment. And so if you applied through the planning department before we launched this SMXF process, and you qualify for the SMXF, so all the criteria I mentioned before, your application will be routed to Four Leaf. I think we've already routed everything. Yeah, Shayna's giving me a nod. It was roughly 20 or so. So Four Leaf is going to be your contact for that. So for those of you who need some light reading when you're trying to fall asleep, I encourage you to take a look at our SMA rules and our shoreline rules. That's where all the details are. You're going to be able to see all of the hours and hours of work that our planning commission and planners went through to get to the rules, and you'll be able to see what those rules say and how they might apply to you. I'm vamping a little bit so people have time to get the QR code, but you know what I mean. So if you're a shoreline property owner, the SMXF process does not apply to you. So you need to go check out our shoreline page on Maui Recovers. That will give you all the information you need to know. There you'll be able to see basically a couple things. First, you're going to be able to determine whether or not you're in the shoreline using a map. You can just put your address in there and it'll tell you whether or not you're in the shoreline. Then you will also be able to take a look at a video that talks about the hazards of rebuilding within the shoreline area. Tara Owens from UHC Grant gave a really great presentation that talks about some of those hazards. And then you'll be able to schedule a one-on-one for you to talk about your project and what you want to do. I will say we've gotten a lot of requests for one-on-ones, and we're working through them. We had our first 3 this week. Some of them take no time at all. Some of them take 45 minutes. Some of them take an hour and a half. It really depends on how complex your project is, what you're trying to do, what kind of questions you have. Some folks have come to us with fully formed plans and all their lawyers and a team of consultants. Some have just come with themselves and saying, I just want to understand what I can do. Wherever you're at in the process, go ahead and sign up. Wherever you feel like, whenever you feel ready, go ahead and sign up and we can talk story with you and give you a sense of what your path forward is. And I ask for your patience. We are looking for some additional help. I got a great lead, so we may be able to push more of those one-on-ones through, but for now, we're moving as quickly as we can, and we appreciate your patience. If you ever have a question whether or not we got your request, just reach out to the planning department and we can confirm whether we got it or not. So that's all I had to say. Thank you so much. Mahalo. Samaritans first. You're up next.
So just pick the next one. Kind of aim it towards the...
All right. Good evening, everyone, and aloha. I'd like to say it is an honor for us to be here and to be able to share tonight a little bit about our program and what we are doing here in Lahaina. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce some of our staff that are here. So I'm going to ask them real quickly to maybe just step up here, and so you guys can see their faces and see who's working in the community, because you'll probably see a lot of us over the next year and a half as we seek to build homes for people. So we have, here we come. Oh, we got a light. So we got Amy, my wife. She works alongside me. We travel around the country, do this for the last quite a few years. Lily and Eric, Dave Fleming, and Randy Dudding. Some of our team, we have a few more guys that aren't here tonight. So you'll probably see us around the countryside for next year. So thank you guys. I appreciate coming up. Before I get started, I would like to give a shout out to the county and to the mayor and the mayor's team. My wife and I, we've traveled around, we've followed a lot of disasters, and to see the response and the support for the community, I know it's probably not what everyone wants to see, but I've been blown away by just the county's support for the people, for the community, and just for the community's support for each other. Truly, to be honest, I have not seen that kind of support before, so thank you to the county, thank you to all you guys as well. It's always encouraging to see community helping community. Well, we have a lot of work ahead of us to rebuild Lahaina. And again, like I said, it is an honor for us to be here and to be part of the rebuilding work. This is obviously, it had a lot of damage, and we have a lot of rebuilding to do. But before I get started going through my slides, I'm going to allow Amy to share a little bit about who Samaritan's Purse is and what we do and why we do what we do.
Aloha, everyone. So Jesus tells the story of the Good Samaritan in the Gospel of Luke. I'm sure many of you are familiar with that story. The story gives a clear picture of God's desire for us to help those in desperate need wherever we find them. After describing how the Samaritan rescued a hurting man whom others had passed by, Jesus told his hearers, "Go and do likewise." That is the mission of Samaritan's Purse, to follow the example of Christ by helping those in need and proclaiming the hope of eternal life. For over 50 years, Samaritan's Purse has done our utmost to follow Christ's command by going to the aid of the world's poor, sick, and suffering. This, in turn, earns us a hearing for the gospel, the good news of eternal life through believing and trusting in the Lord Jesus Christ for the forgiveness of our sins. Our mission statement says, Samaritan's Purse is a non-denominational evangelical Christian organization providing spiritual and physical aid to hurting people around the world. Since 1970, Samaritan's Purse has helped meet the needs of people who are victims of war, poverty, natural disasters, and famine with the purpose of sharing God's love through his Son, Jesus Christ. The organization serves the church worldwide to promote the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ. Thank you.
So following the fire of August 8th of 2023, Samaritan's Purse was on the ground here on August 10th, setting up camp up in Napili. And we were here through January of 19 and 24. During that time, we assisted 929 homeowners. We had 733 volunteers come through, serving at over 40,000 hours. So just following this, we have a few pictures of some of the work. So a lot of our work here in Lahaina area, as well as Kula, was sifting through assets, just trying to help people find valuables and just things that we could seek to find that the fire didn't burn up. We did do some tree work and some tarp work as well. Just a few pictures here of the work that went on. And this is our disaster relief camp set up in Napili. We had right after the fire, it was a quick setup so we could get out and start working. And then following our disaster relief, often we have a rebuild program. So tonight I'm going to talk a little bit about what our rebuild program is and what we do. Samaritan's Purse, we are back again to Lahaina, and we're prepared to assist qualified homeowners rebuild their primary residence that are financially unable to do so. To those that qualify, our homes are a free gift. So they are free because of people that love the people of Lahaina and also want to give to help them. We are accepting applications from homeowners who meet the following criteria. So our first criteria is that you must be a resident and own land and or property burned by the Maui County fire. And we recognize sometimes people don't always own the land. If it was like a Hawaiian trust, or maybe they owned a condo and the condo burned down, the condo owners will build back but maybe not finish the inside. So we're also helping people. We recognize them as a homeowner as well. Second, the damaged home must have been your primary residence and not a rental unit. So we are helping people build back their primary residence, but not your ohanas and stuff like that. We give priority to those who have no insurance or who are substantially underinsured, as we realize the cost to build back is very extensive and very expensive. So we are helping people that have insurance but need help getting that home built back. We do ask, though, that if people receive FEMA and insurance funds, that they use that first, and then we cover everything above and beyond that as a gift. The only thing that we ask is that a homeowner will live and reside in the home for 5 years before they sell or rent it out. That's pretty much our only thing we ask of them. So our goal here is to build up to 40 homes from ground up. And that is, we're working through local builders. I'm sure some of you know Danny Palakiko, and Dwayne Betzo are two contractors that we're working with. So here in Hawaii, we're not licensed contractors that we are in other states. So we're working through local licensed contractors to build our homes. So they'll be our main contractors, and we'll be working with others as well. So as you know, it takes time to get the houses and the houses to fit the properties and to get all that permit through. But they are in the process of trying to get some permits right now. And also we have what we call a materials assistance program. And that looks like so someone has a contractor already and they're starting building their home, but they don't have enough insurance funds to build their home. We are offering materials assistance up to $250,000 per household to help pay for materials and stuff like that. And again, that is the same application process. So just a couple slides, next couple slides are just examples of rebuild in other states. December of 21, we had really bad tornadoes, went through Mayfield, Kentucky, destroyed thousands of homes. And this is, we put in a subdivision, had 86 homes there we built, 55 were in a subdivision, 20 were outside the subdivision. Did some grant partnership and one home repair there. Just some examples of our volunteers, hard at work with some of our staff. There's a finished home in Mayfield. And this here is actually eastern Kentucky after a devastating flood 2 years in a row. So after the second time, we bought a top of a mountain and leveled it off and put homes up high. So if those ever flood, everybody's in trouble. So I'm going to quickly just close. So we are working out of Lahaina Baptist right here in Lahaina. We have our offices set up. That is where we'll be working out of for the next year. Pastor Eric Naylor, the church there, have opened their doors to work alongside of us as we always look to work with local churches and others in the area as well. So we just appreciate all the local churches and their support for Samaritan's Purse, because we always like to work alongside them. When we leave, they're the ones that pick up where we leave off. So if you guys have more questions, we'll be around here tonight, but we'll also be there. We're there at Lahaina Baptist Church Monday through Friday, 8 through 4:30. We do encourage you to please make an appointment before you come, as we do have a lot of people coming through there. And afterwards, we're happy to give you some contacts, some phone numbers as well. So mahalo, and thank you for your time and attention. God bless.
All right, if we can start our Q&A session now. Is someone here to help with the mic? Maura? Yeah, oh, there you go. Yeah. Oh, I see. Here we go. All right, so anyone have any questions? Oh, there we go.
I'd like to ask the question, what's happening with the disposal site? Are we going to put it in the central area? I read something about there. Is there a problem with it?
Well, Josiah here will be able to answer that question.
I'll do my best. What I will say, because there's some public and non-public things occurring, we are doing our best to secure a PDS site, a permanent disposal site, for the debris in Central Maui at or near the Central Maui landfill area. I think it's very well known publicly that we are in an eminent domain proceeding as it relates to acquiring land to be able to establish that a permanent disposal site, and that's still ongoing through the courts. So we are doing our best to try to secure that as quickly as possible and to provide an avenue to move the debris out of Olowalu area to the Central Maui area, but we can't do so until land is secured. So that's essentially the current status. Thank you.
One here. Oh, Cynthia, sorry. Oh, you have some back there. Okay. Then after that, we can move to the front here. There's a couple in the front as well. Yeah.
Mahalo. I'm Lori. Thank you very much for all that you've been doing over the last year. Thank you very much for all you've been doing, all of the leaders present throughout the last year. There are a couple of populations that I trust somebody in the background is serving, but I haven't heard anything yet at the public meeting. and I'm curious about them, and I'd just like to ask tonight, and maybe the answer can come next week or sometime in the near future. One would be for the folks who are utilizing the Lahaina Adult Daycare Center. We still have folks very, very stressed out at home because their seniors have been with them since the fire, and they have not been able to go back to work because they're primary caregivers. So there's some great need there. So any updates on the Lahaina Adult Daycare Center would be wonderful. Okay. And the other thing is any background work going on restoring the Hali Mahaolu facility that housed a good number of seniors as well. So anything that someone could provide would be appreciated.
Yeah. I have a feeling just I'm have to stay right here the whole night.
Okay, just to make sure we're accurate, we'll follow up and get accurate information for you on the adult daycare center. I will just say for Halimaholu that they are working through the processes and looking at different options and what's possible. They have multiple properties that were destroyed, so I'm not sure exactly which one you're referring to. One property they are in discussions with the state because there might be redevelopment potential in coordination with state properties, and then they have another property or two outside of that area that they're having to work through the public assistance process through FEMA and other programs right now to find out funding mechanisms and whatnot that will be able to support rebuilding activities. But they are actively looking at ways of restoration. Thank you.
All right, back there. Was there one back there? Or no, right here? Yeah, these right here. Yeah, Morris right here. Okay.
Hi, thank you. My question is for the mayor and the planning department.
Okay.
My name is Dawn Burton. I'm 83 years old, and my place burned down in Kahoma Village. Now, I'm sure you all know where Kahoma Village is, and my unit was right in the middle. Kahoma Village is 95% there. It's occupied. People are living there. They're living their lives. They're walking their dogs. They're going to school. But I can't. There were 4 buildings in the middle of the project that burned. And we have a contractor. We have insurance to cover it. We have it cleared. We had a gentleman from the unit who went through and found all the electrical wiring, all the plumbing, all the water. This property could have been built 2 months ago. It is right in the middle of a development. There are houses all around it. Now you're probably saying, well, why don't you build? Well, that's my question. Why can't we build?
And on top of it, we're getting no response. We're getting no response from the mayor's office. Everybody's gone radio silent. What is the holdup? I think everybody can hear me. No, this. Okay, this is ridiculous.
So thank you for your question. I know that's frustrating. I can't even begin to imagine. No, I can't. I can't begin to understand how frustrating that is to see your neighbors.
If you go home to your house every night, right? You weren't out on the street with no place to live. You were home. That night you were in your own bed in your own house. I was sleeping in my car in a parking lot by the beach.
After we were trapped and surrounded by fire on Front Street.
Let me talk.
I get it, but I mean, they need to understand where we're coming from.
And I am living right now in a rental unit right across street from my lot, directly 40 feet from my burned out place. And nobody seems to give a damn. I mean, you can give it all the lip service you want, but what we want is to be able to build. There's 24 families who are out on the street that could be in their building. I mean, we got a builder, we got insurance, we've got everything except the damn permit. Why?
So Kahoma Village is a tricky project, and it's because of the legal framework that we operate in.
You can still issue an emergency permit.
We are working through the process right now to try to issue that permit. There are some factors that we have had to navigate in order to get to that point. I will tell you that my deputy and myself, the two of us, have been in multiple meetings. In fact, I was answering emails sitting here about Kahoma Village. We're working on this every single day. I think we've found a solution. We have to work through the governor to do part of this. We have to work through our own systems to do part of it. And I promise you, you're not being ignored. We are just working as hard as we can to get it done. And I'm sorry. There's nothing else I can say, but I'm sorry. You're right, I wasn't there. And I can't imagine how this feels. And I have to tell you in every possible way that we are working as hard as we can. And I think we found a solution this week. And we have to work through the governor's office in order to get to it. It's not only us.
What does that mean, governing office?
So we are asking for an amendment to the emergency proclamation to allow for permanent structures to be built. But we have to, there are legal frameworks that are at the state level that they have to consider, and we can't make that call. So we are reaching out to them and asking that question, if they would be willing to amend the EP to do this. But there are other ways, and we're still working those other ways in case this doesn't work. I want you to know you haven't been ignored. It may feel like it, but we haven't been ignoring you. We've been working.
I understand that. We got a letter, the homeowners got a letter 3 weeks ago stating that the SMA was forthcoming. And the contractor was there, everything was going to start the next day, and nothing. I mean, I understand that there were some problems here, but you have to understand too that I'm paying for a house that isn't there. I'm paying for a homeowners association for nothing. I've got a $4,000 assessment from the homeowners insurance, which means I'm paying for somebody else's insurance because I got nothing to insure. And I'm also paying a huge amount of rent. I'm paying out twice what my income is through savings and insurance, and I'm about broke. And I'm 83 years old. I would like to spend one night in my own place before I die. It isn't too much to ask. Please, help us.
We're trying. That's all I can say is that we're trying. And I hope to be able to...
In the dead center of a complex that's still standing. It's not even like there's 50 houses between the center of Kahoma Village and the shoreline. I mean, unless you're going to tear every house down, it makes no sense, right? It makes no sense. And the governor, I mean, the mayor literally could sign his name and have this end, but he chooses not to do that.
I promise you it is not as simple as that. So we are trying to make it as simple as possible and make it go as quickly as possible. And I think the path that we've identified is going to be the quickest possible path for you. It's a tricky project, and it's because of things that happened well before you occupied your homes. And so I promise you we are working as fast as we can. And I'm sorry I don't have a better answer.
Looking to the future, I see once we do rebuild, the electric bills are going to be quite high. Also, we had the problem with the electricity not being able to come to the west side. Is there anything that we can do as a community to organize to get solar, maybe a solar backup? Because now we're hearing whenever there's going to be high winds, the electricity is going to be cut off. So it would be nice, maybe small communities, maybe the whole Lahaina, but something, even if we can apply for a grant or get some kind of government help to get a plan for the future. Maybe even some offers, oh, this is a good solar project. I've heard of solar roof tiles. something that we could organize and go forward with a smart idea, something that's going to work and will help us in the future.
There are a few different groups that kind of assist with this. I would just say in relation to funding efforts, there are resiliency and sustainability type efforts that are underway that unfortunately, because of the way the feds operate with the federal funding cycle and congressional approval, there's different funding sources that we haven't been able to access yet because of waiting for congressional approval on certain things. But there are a variety of resiliency and sustainability projects, for example, that we've applied for through hazard mitigation funding that will be beneficial to the Lahaina community. And once we're able to hopefully secure that funding, there will be programs available to help with, like, for example, one of the programs we're seeking was a more resilient building material type of program where we can help to provide homeowners who are rebuilding, safer and it may be more expensive materials and things like that, but will in effect create a safer environment for their home and for their neighboring properties, that there could be incentive programs and things like that built in. But until we get those funding sources or other funding sources become available through federal agencies and whatnot, we're doing our best to operate under the limitations that we have. But I would really encourage you to also seek out like the Hawaii Energy Office and other programs like that may have other incentive and funding opportunities available as well. Thank you.
On the individual level, each individual
Well, like I said, through larger funding sources that we're seeking, there may be opportunity for programs to be available like community-wide. But in the absence of those funding and projects being approved, it will be on an individual basis seeking out through our organizations providing assistance and whatnot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's nothing going to be like identifying these are the good materials or ship over
Well,
solar.
I mean, I think we've had IBHS here, I think, a few times. I know they've been on island a few times at least. And they've presented on wildfire protected homes, protected communities. They have tons of great resources available on what you should look for in rebuilding your home, types of things to consider like fire resistant rooftops and landscaping buffers and defensible space and other types of things like that. So really encourage you to check out some of the resources that have already been provided at community meetings and is available online for that purpose. And if further discussion is needed or whatever, we do have resources available either after this meeting or at the West Maui Recovery Office too that could help point in some additional directions if needed. Thank you.
Oh, do we have any more? Oh, right there.
Aloha. Hi. Last week, I spoke to the mayor about water access, and I was at the Recovery Center today, and a big mahalo to CNHA for the work that they do there. They are wonderful. But I did talk about water access, and August 3rd is when the Resource Center opened. August 3rd was also when the water was declared safe. It was also August 3rd that they took away the water wagons, and the mayor was going to give me an answer today regarding that water wagon. Anybody?
I did contact the Deputy Director Kimo Landgraf about that, and he said that there are no plans right now to return the wagon to the center. You can, for residents, they can apply for the water meter to get, so your property can get water back.
Oh, we won't go into that. That's a long story. And that's what I'm talking about, water access. Not just for me, but for a whole community. We are in peak hurricane season. Look what's happening on the mainland right now. And Hurricane Dora was 500 miles south when it hit on August 8th. And look what happened. So when the shelves are empty and there's no water, and we have no water access, I mean, I'm sorry, we didn't have any water access during the fire, and now what you're telling me, we have no water access now. How is that progress?
Well, we can go back and Josiah wants to comment on that.
I mean, I'm sorry, I don't know what conversations you had previously, but it sounds like maybe there's two different things being conflated here. One is access to potable water for individual residential properties, that's been cleared. So the lines are pressurized, and if you are rebuilding, you are able to hook up to the water system and get water.
No, I'm getting water from Uncle Earl Kukahiko. So every day I'm at his house because I have no water access. Our permit has been in since maybe July, beginning of August. So
into Four Leaf?
Yes, and
Okay.
Four Leaf, I believe, has approved it structurally, but basically they're waiting on the water department, and from what I understand, they need to install 2 fire hydrants on our street. But that shouldn't have anything to do with our water permit for the house. So thank you, Uncle Earl, but I'm not just talking about for me, I'm talking about for our whole community. During peak hurricane season, a water truck, please, I don't think it's too much to ask because again, water access is really important to all of us. It's important. So if the mayor could, well, I guess I have my answer because there's no water truck, there's no mayor, and there's no water access. So I think I have my answer. But that is not progress.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I mean, I appreciate your comments and sentiments, and I mean, without knowing your individual parcel and where you are in the process, I mean, it's impossible for us to determine right here on the spot. Okay, well, if they know you already, we can get your contact information and whatnot, but otherwise, if Cynthia can collect it, we can be able to follow up with your specific situation. Thank you.
I've had her card, I've had everyone's card, I've had everybody take my information, and not one phone call.
I believe I emailed you. Did you get my email?
Yes.
So is it, sorry, we can discuss this offline later, but yeah. Yes.
Right now, I don't think this is progress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's not for me, it's for our whole community.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Any other questions here? All right. Oh, right here. Oh, Morris. Right here, down here.
Just a quick question for FEMA. Actually, did you say that Kilohana is going to get street lights?
They're already installed, yes.
It's funny because Fleming Road does not have street lights, and they have to use Fleming Road to go to Kilohana?
We're working with the county for the access to and from the highway to Kilohana. Do you have more information on? Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So there's funding for lighting because it comes from the Kilohana project.
So there will be street lights.
There are streetlights at Kilohana as part of
Well,
the group
because
site project.
To access Kilohana, what road do they use? Fleming Road,
They'll use Fleming Road.
who has no street lights? Does that make sense?
I can tell you on the group site we have the lights. I don't have a project to do lighting on Fleming. I don't know if anyone else can speak about lighting. I think there is a plan to address street lighting in neighborhoods.
The birds. There's a legal, I guess the mayor said something about the birds. There's a legal matter that they have to deal with before they can put street lights.
we're still working on the street access to Kilohana. Right now it's Filming Road, but it may be a different road.
I hope so. Thank you.
Oh, okay. All right, go ahead. No, the gentleman there, yeah.
Hi. I think a question for Kate or Josiah, but there was talk about the shoreline properties, and it sounds like there is one-on-ones with each property owner. I don't know if that's residential and commercial. Tamara did mention that on Wednesday, they're going to discuss sort of master plans for Lahaina rebuild. Is there any discussion about a master plan for the shoreline? Or is it all being done one-on-one, basically in order to keep people out of harm's way? Is there discussion of a master plan, moving infrastructure or land swapping, not just on a one-on-one basis, but a larger basis?
Okay, so I can speak to two aspects of this. The first is the one-on-ones. So the one-on-ones are individual property owners, and embedded within your question was another question: is it just residential or is it also commercial? And the answer is it's commercial as well. We've gotten requests. I will say that we are prioritizing residential property owners over commercial for the moment while we gather resources. So then your other question is about this infrastructure master plan, and that I'm certain includes, it's not my department to talk about, but this is, as I understand it, includes all of the area and not just, so shorelines won't be segmented out specially. As far as a master plan for the shoreline and how the shoreline might redevelop, I'm going to have to defer that question a little bit. We're in the process of the long-term recovery plan. We're building that right now. Within that program, for those of you who've heard me talk before, the long-term recovery program plan is programs and projects, programs and projects with timelines so that we can seek funding for different things. Among those programs and projects are some discussion of master planning for Lahaina, and I don't want to jump ahead of where we are. So we will be releasing the long-term recovery plan sometime very shortly. We have a draft that we've been revising, and we're talking with all of our department heads right now to make sure everyone's on board before we release the draft to the public to get your feedback on it. And within that, there is discussion of how we handle infrastructure, how we handle the shoreline, how we handle some aspects of master planning the rebuild.
All right, any more questions? I don't see any, so if not, thank you everyone for coming tonight. The slides up for tonight will be on, it's actually currently up on MauiRecovers.org under past community meetings. So you can go ahead and get some of those QR codes that you saw tonight. Thank you.